Hi everyone. Wow, it's been such a long time since I've gotten together with you, Sunny.
Friday's long time.
Oh yeah, no, before Friday. Before we talked about doing this. I guess what is it? Podcast.
I saw you at your gala.
That's right.
Yeah, and I won
right.
I won first prize
You did?
on the raffle.
Oh wow.
I bought 3 tickets, and you know what's so funny about these raffles is that you see people and they keep winning, and I'm like, they get lucky,
was
right?
That you?
No, I just bought 3 tickets. I knew that they had 1 ticket left or 1 prize left, and they called my number.
What was the grand prize that night?
It was iWatch.
Oh, okay, okay.
So did he give it to you? Did
Yeah,
you get
It was from the organization.
Oh, when was this?
The Dreams Come True Foundation, the first one. Yeah, it was in March, last March.
And thanks to Nina, she reconnected us because Nina was looking for a singer, and I got Justin Park.
That's right.
To sing for your gala.
Wow. How do you know Justin Park? I mean, he's like an upcoming celebrity nowadays.
I've known Justin since he was a kid. Well, to me, he's still a kid.
Oh, okay.
But how long has it been? It's been so long, but you know, my background is a makeup artist. I was a makeup artist in entertainment, and I was his makeup artist.
So you were in that scene.
Yeah, I was his makeup artist. Yeah, and I did music videos with him, and yeah. And then she called me. She's like, "Do you know anyone that can sing?" And I'm like, "A professional singer or anyone that can just sing?"
Right.
And she's like, "No, they don't have to be a professional." And I'm like,
and she just came over the top.
Yeah.
We have such a high standard for that now.
Yeah.
He's like a Korean hip hop artist, but not necessarily like a Koreanized. He's not hip hop.
No, he's not.
Pop.
No, pop.
Pop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, Sunny knows a lot of people in that industry, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
I mean, I wouldn't say a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know a lot of people that
Now I do know when I first kind of met with you on social media back in 2000. I think it was 2020. It was
Right
during
when
the
COVID
pandemic.
hit.
I remember
Yeah.
that. You had just kind of
I
gotten
just
into real estate.
started.
Wow.
So
That is unbelievable. Within 4 years.
So I started, and I got my very first listing, and I got that sold in January. And then we still weren't in COVID time. And then on my birthday, March 11th, is when they announced the shutdown.
The shutdown. Oh, was that Wednesday?
I think it was a Wednesday.
Right?
I think it was a Wednesday. And I just
my
remember thinking, I just left my whole career to step into real estate full time. I was renting a suite, and now I'm like, how am I going to do my business? No open houses, no door knocking. Everybody shut themselves in. And so I didn't know what to do. But my first year in real estate, I killed it.
You did.
Yeah, I killed it. I was rookie of the year.
Really? Wow.
There can only be one rookie.
Okay. I see.
I was rookie of the year, and there's about 250 agents in that office at the time.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I did great. My very first buyer was a commercial buyer on a 10-unit apartment.
Really?
That was off market.
Wow.
I've never worked with a buyer. That was my very first buyer.
Whoa.
And yeah.
Wow, that's a story. You know, from the beginning though, like you always were confident about the way you carried yourself, even on social media. I think that's how we initially connected. So to be a brand new real estate agent and then to just go straight to social media, I mean, has that been working for you, social media?
You know, I need to focus a lot more on my social media. I haven't been putting the time that I need to. But this year is a year that I'll be focusing on that. Yeah.
I see. What do you think your biggest strength has been then? Because in 4 years, at least from outside, just seeing you on social media, the growth and your wins, I could see it, right?
I can't think.
You can't sing.
I can't sing.
Man,
right?
I can't float.
You're doing more than floating. You're shipping away on a yacht.
Man, I'm talking about in the water.
You're in the ocean. So I just think I was born this way. I came out of my mom's womb with confidence. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
actually, I have a story. I don't know if we're going to use this or not. But the day that I was born, my dad was really upset that I was a girl.
That's me and my daughters.
So I'm the first child. I was born in
yeah.
Korea.
Right.
And this
That
is
Korean thing.
this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
also I'm gonna reveal how old I am, but I was born in the 70s, so third world country. My
Back
dad,
then, yeah.
my dad was really upset that I was his firstborn. It was a girl. He
Like really upset?
he stormed out of the hospital.
What?
And when he came back, the doctors and nurses, they were hovering around me. Back then, they put you on the floor, so I was sleeping on the floor.
Oh wow.
And they're hovering around me, and he's like, "What's going on?" He's concerned now. What's going on? What's going on? And the doctors and nurses were like, she just did the impossible. But I'm my dad's firstborn, so he doesn't know a baby newborn cannot push themselves up. So I propped myself up, and I looked left and right, and I fell because I had no strength. And at that moment, my dad picked me up, my daughter, because I did the impossible. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So that was the moment that my dad was like,
So you were special since since day one.
I don't know about that, but that's the story.
Well,
I
mean,
just like to
that's the impossible. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Wow.
this market, real estate's tough. It's super tough. I think my second year in real estate, I did over $14 million in sales. That was 2021, right?
That was a tough year. It was slowing down, but yeah, that's still 14 million.
I mean, I was only hoping to do maybe like 8,
wow, even
right?
that, right? Wow.
Yeah,
That's
ambitious,
ambitious, yeah.
And so I did over 14 million or around 14 million in 2021. And I think I made real estate look really easy because literally every day I would get someone that's a Facebook friend or Instagram friend reaching out to me like, hey, I'm thinking about getting into real estate, right? Because
right.
I'm just like, just sold, just listed, just
Right.
sold,
I
7 million.
remember that.
Yeah, on Facebook, she was all over.
Right.
And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, she's doing really
Right,
good.
right,
Yeah.
So
right.
did you know after your first year that this is going to be your, life? Like this is going to be your thing?
So I knew before getting into because when I make up my mind, that's it. So when I got into real estate, that's why I quit makeup. I had a studio in the city of Orange. I shut that down. And by the way, beauty industry was shut down because of COVID too, right?
That's true. Wow.
So when I have my mind set on something, I go and do it, and that was it. I closed that chapter. I closed that door. So when I got into real estate, I remember like people telling me like, and I took them for face value. The advice that people told me is that you're not going to get any listings your first 3 years. It's going to be very difficult. You're going to have like 6 months to 8 months reserves, which I did. Right before I got into real estate, I really hustled, took in as many clients as I can, and I shut that business down. And as soon as I said I'm getting into real estate, I got my very first listing, right?
Listing. Wow. So you already knew
No, but
all
I didn't know.
the advice was wrong.
No, but I didn't know at the time,
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
And I'm telling you, this was a 3-bedroom, 3-bath condo in Garden Grove, right? In 2020, right?
Right.
And I'm
right.
thinking, wow, this is so expensive, $465, right? But I told my clients, right? I go, they didn't want to hire me because there was another listing in the same community that was sitting on the market for 6 months. But I took a look at it and I said, if you want to market your home, these are the things that you need to do. I suggested that they paint their cupboards white and they put hardware on their cupboards. And then also I said, I would pay for half the staging.
How did you know to give that advice though?
You have to know, well, in any
I mean,
industry.
that's
I
a
think-
very detailed.
And I have
like,
pictures. I have
Maybe your
pictures.
makeup background.
No,
being
Artist.
like a-
You're an artist.
It's
yeah,
not-
artistic.
It's not that. Me, I like to learn.
Oh, so
And,
you learned
well,
this.
I like to learn. So this is not something I know. I'm gonna reach out to another realtor. Hey, this is the situation, what kind of advice would you give me? But he's also a flipper. So he's like, I would suggest that you paint the cupboards white, put hardware on the, put
Because
hardware.
that was the new trend or something.
Yeah, well,
right?
I mean, there's before and after pictures,
I
and
see.
well, there's
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
before and after pictures,
see.
and so I mean, the house is just look completely different. This is what I did know. This is what I know as a makeup artist, right?
Right.
I told them that if you want to position yourself to sell your house has to look better than the competition. So that's what I knew.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So when I was a makeup artist, I had a portfolio, but my portfolio better be badass. It better be better than every makeup artist out there, right? I'm always researching other makeup
How to
artists.
make it a little bit better.
Well, like their makeup sucks, you know, and I'm critiquing their makeup style, right?
I see,
and so you have to have an eye for that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So
that makes sense.
so when and I like again the confidence that you were talking about,
Right.
I told them because they didn't want to hire me, right? But they did. They moved forward with me. They said, you know, this home has been on the market for 6 months, and I said, don't worry, we're gonna do one open house, one weekend, and by Monday we'll be in escrow.
Wow.
But you gotta do what I tell you to do.
Wow.
That's what I
Confidence
said.
right
And
there.
you didn't know that, or you felt.
I
Like,
just had confidence I
okay,
could do
like
it.
that.
I don't know. I
So
just knew.
You already had a game plan, a visual of what you
Yeah.
were gonna do if people, as long as there's traffic, like you just knew.
I just knew. And then so because I've been to open houses, right?
I see.
And so-
but again, this is your first listing.
My very first listing,
Oh
as
my
soon as I got
goodness.
as soon as I
Wow.
got licensed, I got my very first listing. And guess what? It was on a 6% commission.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even do low commission on this.
Which it should be though, right?
Well,
I
you
mean,
know, the
I
thing
think back
is,
then it was lower, right, for most deals.
I think it's a
Yeah.
lot lower
Yeah.
now. You don't see really good commissions on the buy side these days. Everyone's giving low commissions because
I don't get that. Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Last year was a historical low for real estate.
Okay, so people are
Since-
getting desperate and okay.
Yeah.
I see,
So
I see.
since the last crash, last year was historical low for real estate sales.
I see.
There wasn't a lot of homes on the market. There wasn't a lot of
Right.
activity. A lot of people were hurting. So now when people get a listing, I think agents are getting a little greedy and they're keeping a little bit more for themselves and they're not being generous when they're giving the buyer's commission.
Oh, so the listing agent is, charging the 6%,
So
but not giving away the 2.5 to the buyer's agent.
So
Okay, I
the
see, I
listing agent is the one that negotiates the commission from the bat with the seller.
With the seller, right?
Yeah,
right,
so
right.
they're the ones that are determining what is
How
going
to
to
market it. Yeah,
or
yeah.
how much they're paying the buyer.
Right,
They're in
right,
control.
right. I see.
So that's why it's great to be a listing agent because you're in control of your own money. You're in control of the commission, and you get to decide on how much you want to give the buyer's agent. Right?
Right. In your experience, is it better to give more to the buyer's agent, half, split it, or less?
So
or is it depending on the situation?
So I've always been the abundant mindset agent, meaning that I always split my commission half and half,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And then my first 2 years, I was doing really well. And when I see that low commission on the buy side, I get so upset and so pissed, right? I'm just like, why are these agents so cheap,
So
right?
you know how they feel.
I'm heavier
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
listing
Yeah,
side,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just like aggravating because me as a listing agent, I give half of my commission,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But now I rethought that process. You know what? I'm the listing agent. I'm negotiating my commission, right? I'm still giving you what is market value or what everyone else is giving out. I'm not giving you any less, right? So my mindset has shifted a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
Is that, in your mind, is that better for the listing or for the homeowner selling the house because you can give them more value?
So I've only done low commission maybe on 3 of my listings, right? And I let the seller at the end of the day, the seller gets to decide. No,
Right,
Sunny,
right, right,
split it half and half. But I
I
let them
see.
know, like, if you just go on Redfin, you can see how much the buyer's compensation is. So I tell them, this is what most agents are giving out.
I see, I
And
see.
you can do your own research. I'm not trying to make your listing cheap
Right, right,
or
right.
cheapening this experience, but I'm putting in the marketing values,
Right,
right?
right.
I'm spending the money on the photos, the videos,
Right, right,
so and the flyers. So my money's coming out of pocket.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
So
you're
when-
investing in it. You're
When
investing
is
in it.
that negotiated, like with the buyer's agent?
That's marketed that way. It's already
It's-
set
So-
up
But
front.
what if let's say you're not getting like, you know, a lot of offers, let's just say, and I come as a buyer's agent, and is there a renegotiation you can do that, or how does that?
So the commission is already set by the seller and the listing agent on the listing appointment or when they sign the contract, right? For the listing, right? So it's on contract what is going to go to the seller's agent and what's going to go to the buyer's agent, right? Or I should say listing agent, yeah. It's already decided how much is going to go to the listing agent and how much is going to go to the buyer's agent, right? But let's say, because I've thought about this, right?
Right,
Because
right.
I see these transactions and I'm like, I know that you're getting so much more and you're giving low commissions to a buyer's agent. And I've always said, I would submit an offer and say buyer's agent commission to be 2.5% or
Got it.
whatever.
Uh-huh.
But what makes that difficult now is that these homes, they're getting multiple offers, right?
Right,
They're
right.
like my last
That makes
listing
sense.
that I'm currently in escrow right now. I had like 12 offers. 10 came in exceedingly above asking,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So if you're trying to get your clients a home and then you put in, I want this amount,
like, forget
they're-
you.
Yeah. So you're not, your
Right,
offer's
right.
not going to
Okay.
even be looked at, you
Oh,
know?
that makes sense. Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah. But
And on the seller side, as the listing agent, your intention is to give them more attention, more value. So, me, taking a commission as the listing agent, it's gonna commit me to give them more in a
So,
way. Is that the right thought process?
the thing is, my sellers go with me because
They trust you.
my sellers go with me because I have a track record, and
Right,
all my homes
right, right.
sell
Sell
for
above,
above asking,
right,
right?
right.
So I have a track record to prove that to my clients, and it's like, okay, you can go with a low commission agent,
Right,
right?
right.
But if they can't even negotiate their commission up front,
Right.
then how are they going to negotiate the sale of your home, your biggest asset,
Right,
right?
right,
I mean,
right.
this is your bread and butter. This is your money.
Right.
And so if you come in and say, oh, I'll do it for a low commission.
Right.
So when it comes to selling your home, they're not
They're
going to
just
show.
gonna go with the whatever lowest offer or anything just
Well,
to sell it.
12 offers above
Right,
asking,
right,
right?
right.
No,
I mean,
10.
10. I mean,
10.
that's
Right. I want
pretty-
a negotiator.
that's pretty good.
So it's like,
on my
okay,
side,
yeah, do you want to pay out the low commission or do you
Right.
want to net more money?
I want to
Right,
net as much as
Yeah.
possible. I want her representing me.
So-
yeah.
Another reason why a lot of sellers go with me is I have confidence in their home. A lot of agents might come in and say, and I've had this happen, right? Where I went to a listing appointment. I was their third agent that they interviewed, right? And the agent's like, oh, yeah, I have a buyer ready to go. I didn't bring that offer. That's all BS, right?
Yeah.
Why would you
Stupid.
want to
Yeah.
just go with that buyer, right?
Right,
Number
right,
one.
right,
And they
right.
wanted to list it at a lower price. I knew that community pretty well. And I said, you know what? I have the confidence of listing it at this price and getting you a little bit above ask. But you have to do what I tell you to do.
Right.
And a lot of these agents, they might just take crappy photos and they just put it on the market and they think that's going to sell. There's more to real estate than just putting
Just like putting on makeup. You can't just buy the best makeup, right?
there's more to real estate than just taking pictures and putting up on the MLS, right?
Wow, it's in the details.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
So going back to that first house, what ended up happening with it?
okay,
Yeah.
this is actually a really funny story, okay? So they did everything I asked them to do. They painted the cupboards, they put hardware, and we staged the home. It looks beautiful. The seller cried.
Because it looks so nice.
They didn't recognize the home once the home was staged.
It was that much difference.
Well, here's the other thing. My sellers, they didn't live in California. And there was 3 sellers. 2 of them were in Washington. I'm sorry. One of them was in Washington State, and the other 2 were in Colorado. So they were asking me, hey, Sunny, can you get a window cleaner? I'm like, don't worry, I'll clean the windows. You know, I was like so like driven and hungry. Like I like, yeah, like
Things that you can do,
no, they
save
were,
money on that.
no, they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
gonna pay for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I was like, no.
I see,
And
I
then
see.
they needed a new stove range because it was old. And I met with the vendor and had it installed, and I was doing all the things that a seller should be doing.
Right.
But I go above and beyond for my sellers, right? So they were so moved and touched. They actually cried.
Wow.
And but we did one open house on a weekend. We had a lot of traffic, and we had a bunch of offers, and we went with an all cash offer, $10,000 above ask.
Wow.
Nice.
But here's the thing, right? Today's market, buyers are putting in 10, 15, 20, 30, $50,000 above ask.
Yeah, yeah.
At this time where the market was, even with the interest rates being at 3.75, right, or 3.5,
That wasn't happening just yet.
it wasn't.
Yeah. There was that period before it started heating up. I remember that.
Yeah. So I'm like so,
because everyone was worried about the market crashing back then.
Yeah. because they're like, oh, historical low, like
Yeah,
I mean, 12 years above, you know, what we should have been with the crash. But I think I learned a lot from my very first transaction because no one taught me anything.
Right.
And I'm seeing the offers come in.
Right.
And then I'm seeing the communication with the buyer's agent, meaning that I might have received 15 offers and maybe only three buyer's agents called me.
Followed up with you.
Well, hey, we're going to be submitting an offer, right?
I see.
And having that relationship with me. And I was like, oh, wow, this is what you're supposed to do as a buyer's agent,
So the
right?
3 did that, and you remember the 3 that did that. You could tell the difference.
Well,
Learn.
here's the other thing. Like, I'm getting all these offers, and I'm like, you just wasted your buyer's time. You wasted your time. You wasted my time because this offer is low.
Right. You
Right?
could have figured that out from a
like,
phone call.
Call me, right?
Right,
So these
right,
agents
right.
are like, hey, Sunny, we're going to be submitting an offer. Let me just tell you a little bit about my buyers. They're
Right,
serious.
right,
And I was like, oh, wow. So this is how you're supposed to do it, right? So this is what I learned on the
Buy side. Oh,
and I
wow.
now know like what makes a really good buyer's agent. And let me tell you, as a listing agent, there's a lot of buyer's agent that really need a lot of work. Yeah, and so if you're one of those buyers that are working with like an agent, like I have a lot of friends, right? Or I meet them after the fact that they submitted offers or whatever, and they're submitting 20, 40 offers. And I'm like, how is that even a thing?
I hear about that.
I'm like,
Some people say that that's like, oh, they're so proud. Like,
No.
I'm willing to work hard for you.
no,
But
listen.
that's that really the smart thing to do?
That's a horrible thing to do because you're just driving around.
That's what I thought.
Okay, if you've submitted 40 offers, that means you've probably seen 80. And you only
Right,
liked
right,
40 of the
right,
homes,
right.
right? Because you're not putting in an offer on every home.
Right.
And you haven't gotten any of your offers accepted.
Yeah.
Me, the most I've ever submitted for a client was 3 offers. By the third one, it's going to get accepted.
Right.
And like you have to educate your clients, your buyers, because here's the thing buyers are going to do. You educate them, tell them this is what you need to do, but they don't understand, right? And they're hesitant. This is their biggest purchase, right?
Right.
So they don't listen to you. And guess what? Their offer didn't get accepted,
Right,
right? That by the second time, they just lost
They
their dream
might-
home,
yeah.
right? They just lost their potential dream home. So then when you come in and let them know, like, this is what you need, because I'm in communication now with the listing agent, right?
Right.
I know I built relationship with this agent,
Right,
right?
right.
I'm trying to kiss their ass to get
Right,
our
right.
offer accepted.
Yeah.
How many offers have you? Can you give me a ballpark of
How many
offers
offers,
you
what
have?
price range?
Where do we need to be? Like my buyers are serious. They want this home.
Okay.
Something like that, right? But the most I've ever submitted, I'll tell you a story. Okay, so during 2021, end of 2021, right? This is when it was really crazy with buyers, like $100,000 above ask, right? My client approached me and they're like, we want to sell our home, right? And then I always start off with this. How much do you think your home is worth? They said 580. I go, how did you come up with that number? They're like, oh, we've upgraded it fully, and and I said, I think I can get you 6.
Wow.
So I believe in my
Your number.
I believe in the market because I know
right.
what the market is.
Yeah.
Doing,
Because you're actually in it and you have a pulse on it. You have a sense for it. Okay,
well, I just know how the market is, and so
Now,
exactly.
does that matter what area or
Well,
is
this
there?
is in Huntington Beach.
Okay,
And
and you
I-
feel confident with Huntington Beach.
So with this client, the house, the condo is a 2-bedroom condo. It was listed
Okay,
for
okay.
505. I got it for them for 495
in the beginning.
in 2020, end
Oh,
of 2020,
wow.
right? And I got them a better price below asking, right? And then
So wait. When you bought it, you went lower.
lower. Right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so check this out, right?
Oh my.
And then I told them, I go, I don't think you guys are going to want this home. It doesn't have an attached garage. And then they call me a year later. They're like, Sunny, we
don't
want to
want
move.
this.
We want an
Attached
attached
garage.
garage. But we love Huntington Beach. We've identified a property. Let's go take a look. We took a look. They didn't like it. But anyhow, I said, we need to put your house on the market. So we put the house on the market. They thought 580 is what the home will sell for, or
Okay.
what the
Because they
value
bought
will
it
be.
for 490. So
495.
okay,
It was 505.
okay.
Yeah.
So about 85,000.
Yeah. So then I said, I'm pretty confident that I ran the comps, and here's the thing: I don't just throw a number.
Yeah.
I
Homework.
Okay.
yeah,
okay.
I ran the comps, and I'm like, I think I can get you 6. They're like, okay, right?
Why not? Yeah.
That fell out of escrow twice. But guess what? We had an all cash buyer come up at 620.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. So that worked out.
So it was kind of a flipper type of deal, right?
Really?
Like,
Wow.
and
I
so
like how you asked the question first, though. How much do you think your house is worth?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then you ask that question first, and then you.
yeah, and I do my
You're right.
homework.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Because when you're working with a seller that thinks their value of the house is much higher than it is,
Right.
it's really difficult to work with those sellers, and it might be a waste of your time.
Right.
And I don't wanna waste my time.
And you don't want to mess up your track record.
Well, not only that, like here's the thing. I remember I went on a listing appointment. It was through a cold call, and the guy really wanted, and this was before the craziness, right? And he wanted, I think, $870 for the house. And I said, why not $1 million? Because the market doesn't show 870, right? It
right.
shows maybe 825. And he was like, I want 875 for my house. I'm like, well, why not list the house for $1 million? And then he understood, well, my house isn't worth $1 million.
Okay,
Everybody
good.
wants $1 million for the house.
Right.
So
That's a good one.
so again, I got the listing, then he canceled, and it's like, I don't want to waste my time. If I don't work with motivated buyers or sellers, motivation can just. I want to work with serious,
It's not
ready.
dependable.
Right,
Yeah.
Anyone can be motivated. You can be motivated by like a.
Right. A quote.
A quote. You can be a
It'll
quote
last
like
5 minutes.
Yeah, you can go to a Tony Robbins, conference and be so hoorah, like motivated, right?
right.
And then the next day, your
Yeah.
same old habits, right? So, yeah, I don't work with motivated sellers and buyers. I want to work with serious sellers and buyers that are ready to go. So, anyways, with the story, so we get it. We sell for 620, and I got them a house, an SFR, half a mile from the beach in Huntington Beach. Okay,
With attached garage.
Wow.
with an attached garage. It was on the market for $960. I got it for like $925.
In that market
And this
too.
this
Wow.
is in 2021.
That's when it was hot.
It was hot.
Wow. How'd you do that?
I know.
What was what was the angle on that?
So the house, it needed some work.
Okay.
It needed some work, and it just happened to be sitting on the market a little bit,
Oh, at that
So-
time. Oh, compared to other houses.
I mean, there's so many things I could do as an agent to help my buyers.
Right. Because the seller side, their psyche and what they're thinking and going through.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's other avenues of finding a home for a buyer, not just going on the market and seeing what's on the market, you know?
Seeing how long it's been on the market.
Well,
doing
not
your
only
homework,
that,
yeah,
like
right.
you can go through, and this is a tip. Well, now I'm giving my strategy
Yeah,
away.
come on. That's what we want to hear. That's what we need our friends and family to hear.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, I go above and beyond for my clients,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
So let's say that there's nothing on the market,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'll go through expired, homes that withdrew or canceled, and I'll go knocking on their door and I'll say,
Wow.
hey, I have a seller right now ready to go. We're in escrow, you know? Are you, you know, looking to sell? Things
What
like
do you
that.
mean? You have a buyer or a seller?
So, like, let's
Buyer.
say I have a seller. Like right now, I have a seller, okay,
Uh-huh.
but they're buying too, right?
And they want this house or
yeah.
somewhere in this neighborhood.
I will do that for my sellers because they're ready
I
to
see,
go. But if you're
I
just a
see.
traditional buyer,
that's not worth it.
It's
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
buyers are so flaky. But
I
right now,
see.
I have a seller and they're sell by, right?
Right.
And we're already in escrow. I need to find them a place,
Wow.
right?
Makes sense.
So I'm going and knocking on doors in their neighborhood and saying, "Hey, I got you an offer right here. A home just sold for 1.3.
Wow.
We'll submit a 1.3 offer, but obviously we have to see the condition of the
Yeah,
home,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Expired
Yeah.
listings.
So
Expired
when
listings.
you're on a mission, you're really on a
She's
mission.
a hustler.
I get
for
things
sure,
done.
yeah.
Wow,
She was
that's next level right there.
So with that, my client, right, that bought in Huntington Beach, I did 3 transactions with them. I got them under ask,
Right,
right?
right.
Then I sold
$490.
Yeah, and then
620.
620, and then got them under ask, half a mile away from the beach in Huntington, right?
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
So what was the third one after that? You got them.
So it's the buy of the purchase of the condo,
Yeah.
sell the purchase of condo, and then the buy of the Huntington Beach home. That's 3 transactions.
Oh, buy, sell, and then another.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
wow,
yeah.
wow.
So I think I made things really easy. So I didn't really do much on social media, besides posts like just listed, just sold, 7
And
million
then
escrow.
that in itself
Got me-
kind of kept it going too, though.
Yeah.
Wow,
So then people
wow.
were like, "Hey, Sunny, we want to sell. Can you come and check out our home?"
So in a way, it's like a multiplication effect. It's like
Yeah.
if you really, know how to just leverage and just you're on a mission. You ultimately,
common sense.
yeah. Well, it's not that common though. That's the thing, right? Like you're on a mission. You have some experience in life, and then you really want to help. And when
Mm-hmm.
you put that, it seems like when you put that customer kind of like as your commitment. Like you're really committed. It's almost as if like you're committed to like a marriage or your children or a career or I mean this is a career,
Yeah.
but it's like wow, like you're really committed.
I'm very committed. One thing that all my friends will probably vouch for is if they need something done, they know who to call.
Yeah.
It's me.
Wow,
Because I'll get things done, right? Yeah. So yeah, I had a lot of people reaching out to me. I want to become an agent, and I'm like, well, are you ready to work your ass off? Are you ready to work, weekends, nights, like not have a day off? And they're
So
like,
is that what you do? You're working how many? I mean, what days are you
mean,
working? What is
I'm
what are
always
your,
working, right? I'm working now.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
always working, going networking events, that's working, just meeting people, that's working, right? Letting people know what you do, but not selling yourself. Like don't cheapen yourself and sell
Right,
yourself.
right,
You want to add value to people, add value to people's lives, right? So
Wow. Now, would you say that do you have more fun helping buyers or sellers? Or sellers that are buyers, I guess. But buyers, or is it more fun doing the buy side, looking for the property, or trying to get the highest price for the seller?
I really enjoy working with buyers, but also I think my buyers that I work with, they were referred to me. So there's that trust factor,
I see, I
right?
see.
It's
So
not
it's-
strangers off of
I see.
Yelp that you're working with and then they have cold feet,
I
right?
see. So they're being referred to you because they need help.
Yes.
So it's more on the I want to help
Yes.
side.
And
of it.
so-
I see.
and
it's like an obligation kind of.
And it's really easy to work with the buyers that are referred to me because they listen. They're like, okay, Sunny's the expert, we'll listen. Like I said, there might be, like the first offer that we submit, they don't really do as I say.
Right. That would be someone like me. Like,
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing, Sonny.
Yeah,
And then-
yeah. And
put
not
in a-
all, not
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
A lot of my
But
buyers,
yeah,
they do
yeah,
listen
yeah,
to me,
yeah.
but I've had a situation where they didn't get the home that they wanted because they
Right,
didn't listen
right,
to
right.
me. But most of the time, my buyers, they do listen to me.
Okay, okay.
And that's why at the most, I've submitted 3 offers.
That's amazing.
You
yeah.
know, we might get the first offer accepted or the second one or the third one, right? So if you're a buyer out there and your agent's already submitted like 10 offers,
Right,
You're
right.
not doing a
right,
good
right.
job.
you need to reevaluate that agent.
You need to call
and-
Sunny.
What do you think it is? Is it that, and this is advice for other agents in a way, but is it because they're not getting to know their buyers? Is that
They're not getting to know the
or
market,
the market?
number
both,
one.
both.
Both.
Okay,
And they're
okay.
being so
They're
I
being
don't-
lazy.
I don't know because I'm not that agent, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah. 'Cause
can't
you
speak
definitely-
on their behalf.
Aren't lazy. That's for sure. Yeah.
I would love to be, but I think they don't understand,
Yeah, what it
right?
takes,
Or
what it
that you
takes.
need to call the agent. I'm not saying all agents are, right? Because I did learn from the good buyers
yeah,
agents
they're
that,
out there,
But even if I was to get 30 offers, only a handful of those agents would have called me. And so I know that 70% of agents out there are crap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if you're getting offended by hearing that, then you're that agent.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That makes sense right
That's
there.
true.
Yeah.
If you're being offended right now, then you're that agent,
yeah,
right?
mhm.
Yeah.
One thing so far, during that similar time period, as a lender, I always offer, hey, do you need me to call on behalf of the buyer's agent? And the listing agent, they love to hear, the lender, especially as the owner. If I'm calling, hey, this buyer is solid, right? Just giving them some specs, then they kind of have a little bit of trust and confidence,
Yeah.
Makes a difference. I can
when
see
I'm
that.
working with a buyer too, I'm working with one right now, and they're already pre-approved with another lender. I don't know who this lender is. It's a friend of theirs, or it was a referral. They didn't want to go with my suggestion or my referrals. And so I said, hey, can you do me a favor and start a email? Can you start
With
an
your-
email
with their
group?
lender.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
lender, because
Yeah.
the thing is, for me as a listing agent or an agent, I'm as weak as my weakest team.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Right,
the
my vendor.
weakest link
Yeah.
of the, yeah.
So
yeah.
if my title sucks,
Right,
that's a
right,
reflection
right.
on me. If my
Right.
escrow sucks, that's a reflection on me. If my
Right.
mortgage sucks, that's a reflection on me. Because guess who everyone's going to be pointing a finger at?
Right.
Me.
You. Right,
And then the
right,
seller
right.
is not dealing with title. The seller is not dealing with escrow, right? I am, right? So I make sure that everyone that I work with is like on top of their game. They're not going to fumble that ball, right? So I feel like as this mortgage person, she should have been like, hey, can you start that email with your realtor? Because
The other way.
yeah,
Right, right,
because
right, right.
you don't you want my
Like,
business?
we're trying to impress you.
Right,
Right,
right.
right.
I'm always
So,
trying to do that. you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I need communication with
Yeah,
you
right,
during
absolutely.
this process. I need a DU.
Right.
Forget the pre-approval, right? So I told my buyer, I don't want a pre-approval. Get me a DU.
Right, right, right.
She's like, okay. And then I'm like, also, can you start a conversation between me and your lender? Because during this process, we have to be in communication. Like, how's the loan
course.
going? Do you have all the
Right, right.
documents that you need? Blah, 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 right?
right.
But I'm like, see, this is why they say, like, in any profession, whether it be like a personal trainer or whatever, there's only 3% of those professionals that are actual professionals.
Yeah.
And I see that even as a realtor, right? Even as a lender, right?
Right,
I'm
right,
working
right.
with I've worked as a listing agent. I've had offers, and I spoke with the lender on the buy side, and they're promising me the world, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm letting you know we already fell out of escrow once. The appraisal did not come in. This is what the appraisal came in at. Thank
Right.
God it wasn't an FHA loan,
Right,
because
right,
then
right,
that would have been
right,
stuck
right.
with the home. And
Right,
then,
right.
but, and then again, we fall out of escrow because of these
Yeah.
lenders.
Yeah.
Because of the appraisal.
The-
Again.
well, but it's the lender,
right,
right?
right.
It's not even
Right.
the appraisal. We
Right,
didn't even
right,
get there.
right,
It's these
right.
lenders, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I asked my client, please start a group email with
Yeah.
me and your lender, because you can tell me one thing. I'm not looking at your bank statements. I'm not
Right,
looking at
right.
your, your income or anything like that. That's the lender's job. But I just need to make sure that we're ready to go,
Yeah.
and that you're going to be communicating with me and not leaving me in the dark
Yeah.
with things.
For me, like working with a listing agent and being able to impress them throughout the whole transaction. There's many times after the transaction, I can build a relationship with even the listing agent, right? So I usually get more emails from the listing agent than I do from the buyer's agent, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? They're always trying to figure out what the status is of the loan.
Yeah.
And the more better service you show them, then it's like, now I can work with not only the listing agent in the future, but also the buyer's agent who
You
I
gain the
already have a
client.
relationship with.
Yeah,
right?
you gained a client. And so I just think, I guess for me, my business motto is I go above and beyond. I deliver white glove service to my clients. I don't overpromise. So there's a lot of agents that might overpromise. I'll do what I say I'll do, and I'll follow through with what I say I do. Yeah.
Just kind of thinking about the lending side, it is very hard though, even with the right intention, to if you just don't know, you just don't know, because guidelines are not that easy. It's not lending is a little bit different because it's all how much do they study the guidelines, and then are they asking like all those little detailed questions, because you don't want to find out 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in.
I have a situation actually, where a loan didn't go through, and I was actually representing the buyer. I was actually representing the seller and the buyer actually.
Oh wow. So you're representing the buyer and the seller.
So I had a transaction where the loan did not go through. And this buyer actually found me through my listing. They wanted my listing.
I see.
And so
so the buyer reached out to you directly to represent
them
Yeah, as the buyer.
Buyer's
because you're the
agent.
listing agent. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I
they're
see, I
like,
see.
we're interested in this home. We don't have an agent. Can you represent us? But I make things very clear, like, hey, I'm going to be more loyal to the seller because I have to be fair, right?
Yeah.
The seller is the one that's paying me, right?
Right.
So just know that I'm going to do my fiduciary job for both of you guys, right?
Of course.
So this buyer, they had their own lender, and they're already approved, ready to go. And the lender says, I'm in communication with the lender, right? The lender's like, oh, yes, you can remove all loan contingencies.
Wow.
Right? And I'm like, okay, you can. Loan contingency, appraisal, we removed everything, right? Guess what happened?
It didn't go.
I get a letter saying, and granted, right, the buyer has to do 2 appraisals because this is a jumbo loan.
Okay.
Right? And guess who has to pay for it? My buyer, right? So both appraisals came in at $3.2 million, by the way.
So it came in at value.
It did.
Okay.
But the bank is now disputing me, right? And so I'm pissed off at the lender. You told me that I can remove loan contingency,
And appraisal
right?
contingency.
And
right.
appraisal contingency. And the appraisal came in. What's going on? He's like, oh, can you do a reconsider? He sent me a letter or a document that I had to fill out, and it was a reconsideration of value letter to the bank, right? And so I wrote them. I'm like, listen, your client, my client, had to pay for the appraisal, right? And because it's a jumbo loan, it was 2 appraisals. Guess who sends out the appraiser? You, the bank, sends the appraisal. So you're telling me that you sent 2 unprofessionals? So I'm at fault?
Yeah, it's their appraiser.
Yeah, I'm like,
It makes no sense.
you're not agreeing with how the appraisals came in. They're your appraisers. I'm hoping that you're hiring professionals, right? But because of what I said, they actually brought the value to 3.2. But then here's the other thing. So the appraisal, it made safe, right? And then I'm not getting any updates from the bank or the lender. So I'm like on top of things. That's what I do. I'm on top of things. I'm on top of you, right? Like, what's going on? We need to close. We have 10 more days. What's going on? Then the bank's not calling me back. They're not reaching out. Remember, all contingencies are removed, right?
Right.
And yes, I'm for the seller, but this is my client too. The buyers are my clients too, right? Now they're going to be losing their
deposit.
Exactly, their E&D, right? And so I called the bank. I finally got someone on the phone, and they're like, I'm sorry, the loan's not approved.
Wow.
I'm like, what do you mean the loan is? This is a bank, not the lender, but this is the actual bank, right? So I was on the phone with the bank, and they said that the loan is not approved because it's a high risk client because the funds are coming from China.
Oh wow.
So I now
They
have,
didn't know that from the beginning.
but this was an escrow for like more than 30
plus
days.
Wow. Wow.
Like
wow.
they're now figuring this out,
Right,
Wow.
right?
And they removed all loan contingencies
they-
as if they
Wow.
knew it was a solid loan, right? I
They
mean,
removed
yeah, that's
all
crazy.
contingencies.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I'm doing addendum for my buyer's behalf to extend escrow because the loan is not getting approved, right? And that's why I'm on top of the bank. And my sellers are not happy. So this was a very stressful transaction for me
Wow.
because the sellers are not
Right.
you know,
I mean,
happy.
it's
and
kind
then-
of you're stuck in the middle because I mean, fortunately for the buyer, she's got your back because you know what's going on in a way. But for
Well-
the seller, they're kind of in a compromising situation.
Well, so I'm in a compromising situation too because I had the buyer remove all contingencies,
Right,
right?
right,
And
right.
I don't want them losing their earnest money deposit, right? So I called the buyer. I said, "Hey, I spoke with your lender. This is not the lender that I suggested.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is a
yeah.
lender that you wanted,
Right.
and they're telling me that the loan is not approved."
so the
Right.
buyer didn't even know this
Right. So
until
it's-
this point.
Yeah.
They didn't know, right?
Wow.
But here's the thing: I have to now figure out plan B, right?
Right,
I'm
right.
trying to try to still save this transaction,
Right, right.
like save my buyers from not losing their earnest money deposit, right?
That's when you should have called us.
No, well, I mean, I would have,
Right,
right?
right,
So
right,
this
right.
is what my plan B is, because I put my thinking cap on. This is what I'm really good at, right? And I'm like, okay, the loan didn't go through. Now we have to do hard money. Now we have to do private,
Right.
private. Is it private fund?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
private
private
money.
money,
Yeah,
right.
private money, right? So I was like, okay, plan B. I don't want you to
Right,
lose your earnest money deposit, right? And so we need to, otherwise you're losing that money. You're never
Right,
going to see it
right.
again.
Right.
So, well, not really. There's another, but anyways, by the way, it's really hard to lose your earnest money deposit.
Yeah, right,
it
right.
really, really is, okay? But I didn't want them to lose their earnest money deposit. I said, this is plan B. We can use a private bank. We can do this all cash, do hard money. Unknowingly to me, they had the cash. So we just bought it all cash anyways.
Oh,
Okay, it
wow.
worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, but that
Okay,
whole week was
okay.
very
Right.
that whole
Wow,
week
right.
was very
Wow,
stressful
wow,
for
right,
me
right,
because I have to make both parties happy,
Yeah,
right? At the end of the
yeah,
day,
yeah,
I have to
right.
my due
Right.
diligence is to satisfy both my clients.
When you're
Right,
taking
right.
that kind of commitment.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, I'm only committed to the sellers because they're paying me. No, like I'm still committed to my buyers, right? I'm just saying, like when it comes to certain things,
Right.
like fixing the home or credit, I don't think I can be able to work with you on that or the
Right,
price, right? But
Yeah.
everything else, I'm gonna do my fiduciary job,
Right,
right, to
right.
protect you. But your
Yeah.
lender's the one that told me
Yeah,
to
that-
remove loan and appraisal
Now,
contingency.
if it was
That's-
your lender, it could have been a lot
Yeah,
more stressful. But it was the buyer's lender
Yeah.
that they told you.
Right,
So
right.
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it was not your lender,
Yeah.
right?
So how many agents out there have wrote to a bank, called the bank, working
Right.
directly with the bank?
Right, right,
it's always the lender or the mortgage broker, right? Like I was
Right.
working directly with the bank now to get the situation resolved,
To
right?
figure out what's going on.
But
Right,
I didn't have to do that.
right,
But I
right.
did
You
that,
had to,
right?
right,
I didn't have to.
I mean, you didn't have to, but
I
but
did.
because of who you are,
Yeah.
you felt like you had
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
Right.
To get it.
Actually, the mortgage broker should have been doing that.
Right, right.
Not
They
me.
kind of gave
Right.
up at that.
Yeah,
point.
they gave up.
They got scared and they
Right.
disappeared.
Right,
They
which is-
did.
Yeah, yeah,
Right,
They
yeah,
got
yeah.
scared
And that's
and they,
common, right?
then-
Unfortunately.
Right.
That's why I said everyone on my team,
Yeah.
they have to be strong because
Right.
it all reflects on
Right,
me,
right,
right,
right? All the fingers point back to me,
Right,
because
right.
behind the scenes, buyers and sellers have no idea
What
the
we have to do.
the
right,
mountains I'm moving, right?
Right.
Who I'm calling,
right,
yelling at,
Right,
cursing
right,
at,
right,
right?
right,
Like
right,
I'm
right.
on
But
the
see,
phone, like
yeah. But that's
Yeah.
what separates the good agents from the bad agents
Yeah.
is because the good agents or loan officers or whoever, they know how to solve a problem, right? And that's what you did. You solved the problem.
I had
right?
to.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was no
Yeah.
ands, ifs, and buts about it.
Right.
I'm gonna get this resolved.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you a home, and we're gonna close
Yeah.
this deal.
I like
you know.
that. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's
and
good.
the lender's like, sorry.
Yeah, that's
You know,
yeah.
he just
Who's
put
that
his
vendor? That's the,
right. Oh my gosh, yeah. So, anyways,
But since then, now that we've been working together,
Right.
since then we have different products that we
Yeah.
know can satisfy those things.
yeah, no, and
Absolutely.
that's well. So let's go back on how I met you and how I met you.
Which is not even together.
No, yeah.
That's,
well,
yeah.
we actually all kind of met each other on the same time, if you think about it.
Okay.
right?
Well, I don't
Okay.
know because I don't know
Yeah.
when you guys met, but
About 5,
We
6
all
years
wait. Did you
ago.
meet each other from Facebook?
Yeah,
When-
we all-
I didn't
yeah.
know him before.
So okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
met you on Facebook.
we all
So
met
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
we're all
Right.
like yeah.
So Alex reached out to me. He's like, you know what? You have a really good social media presence. How about we
Yeah,
work
yeah.
together?
Right,
and we
right.
were working together a little bit, right, during COVID. And then Danny, he approached me and we're talking a little bit. And he's like, hey, I have all these products. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can help you, whatever. But going back to my first year, that's when I met the both of you guys, right? So a lot of realtors reach out to me or they'll comment like, you need 6 to 8 months of reserve,
Right,
right?
right.
You're only going to be working with buyers. You're not going to get any listings, whatever. And I took everything what they said as face value.
Sure.
Like, I don't know. I've never been an agent,
Right, right,
know? So I saved enough money for about 8
6
months,
okay, okay.
reserves,
Yeah.
right? The first 8 months of real estate was hell. I
Really?
did one transaction in January, sold it, didn't do anything for 8 months, right?
Oh, wow.
Then in August, I had a 10-unit commercial buyer.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
got it.
And then from that point on, I kept getting listing after listing after
Wow.
listing, right?
This was your first year.
My first year.
Yeah,
And then,
that's pretty crazy.
yeah, my first year. And I've never seen that kind of money, to be honest with you.
She was hooked.
I was just
Yeah.
like, whoa, I should have
Yeah.
been doing this a lot sooner, right? And then I was so stressed out for the second year, and I think I doubled or tripled what I did the first year, my second year. And I thought about it, right? And I said, you know what? Don't base my hustle because of your hustle. My hustle is going to look different than yours. Just because you couldn't do it doesn't mean I can't do it.
Right, right.
And that's like, I feel like a motivational quote,
Yeah,
yeah.
that I can give out to people. It's like,
Yeah.
you know what? Don't let the naysayers, put you
Right.
down. It's not
Right.
the
Or limit
naysayers.
you, like,
Yeah.
Don't let someone
Yeah.
else draw
Yeah.
your
Exactly.
picture. Yeah.
We,
Yeah.
we saw you hustle though. Yeah, I think I could still remember your very first open house video.
Okay.
Really, and little bit you could tell you're nervous, but you were like, you were just doing it like over and over again, and I was like, wow, this girl, I think she's gonna make it, and we got to
thank
see
you.
your whole. Journey, I guess you could call it,
Thank you.
right? And you were out there hustling, so
I put myself out there. I
yeah,
did.
a lot of
Yeah.
first year agents, I guess they think like it's just gonna come easy to them. They don't actually go out there and go get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we both saw her on Facebook, and you were just out there posting all your open houses and doing these videos. It was
Thank
we
you.
saw it for sure.
Yeah.
Well, closed mouths don't get fed, right?
That's so true.
Right,
That's
Closed
so true.
mouths
Yeah.
don't get fed.
Right.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, but you definitely
Yeah,
hustled.
thank you. The only thing I wish I would have done if I could go back is I wish I would have used the TikTok platform because during that
Was
time,
TikTok around at the
that
first year?
I
It
feel
was
like
probably new. Yeah.
Was it?
it was
Yeah,
newer.
okay.
Newer. There
Yeah,
you
it
go.
was
Okay.
newer, but I noticed that agents that started their platform during that time really grew their
Following.
audience.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a perfect time to do TikTok because it was new.
Everyone was home.
Yeah, everybody. That's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Everybody
Oh,
was
right,
home
right.
watching your videos, and you
Yeah.
can make the lamest video, and people are like watching because there's
Right,
nothing else to
right,
do.
right,
And I'm
right.
like, damn, I should have taken advantage of that moment. But then here's the thing: as an agent, I can see people's numbers, and I was seeing this girl. She had like, I don't know, like 100,000 followers.
Wow.
But I could see her numbers. I'm like, I'm killing it. I don't need TikTok, right?
I
But now
see.
that I see where it is now, she's doing a lot more transactions.
wow.
And I'm just like, I should have done TikTok.
Wow, I
right?
see, I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. There's another agent that I know. And hustler, under 30,
Wow.
grew her business off TikTok. She
Really? Wow.
she does like 70% of her business off TikTok.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think she's done like over $150 million in transactions in the last
Off
4
of
years.
TikTok. Wow.
Well, 70% of her
I see, I
buyers
see.
are from
Okay, okay.
TikTok.
So 100 million off of
over
TikTok. Wow.
150,
Wow.
right? and she's only 28 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I really regret not taking that time to build that audience and my following on TikTok.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's the marketing piece. But then, as I'm listening to your story, what really stands out about you, now I get to know you a little bit more. It's the way you're committed to your clients. I think that's something that, and then your mindset. It's really strong as far as like looking for the little details and the opportunities. You don't give up. That's another, feature, I think.
Oh, believe me, there's many times I want to throw in the towel,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Especially last year, I was just like, oh man, I don't know if I have it in me to do this, right?
Yeah, last year was tough.
Last year was really tough. 2022 was really tough. I was working with like 4 or 5 buyers because of the rates. They all like felt, well,
Right.
not just the rates, but like when you're working with a couple who, and it could happen with married couples,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I was showing them homes for 6 months, and then I get a call like, "Hey, we're calling off the engagement. We're not getting married." I'm like,
Oh, wow.
Oh,
you
that's
know,
tough.
Yeah.
and it's just not just engaged couples; it's married couples that can happen too. I've heard of that, right? I was in escrow on a transaction, and the roof needed fixing, and the rates just hiked up. They weren't locked into their rate,
Oh, wow.
So
during
then-
the transaction or during the search. Yeah. Wow.
So that happened, and then, I lost a lot of clients during that time too. So I was just like, I don't know if I have it in me. I've been a fighter all my life. I don't want to keep fighting.
Well, I think this year's going to be good.
Well, how do
I'm
you
hoping.
feel about this year?
You know
What are your
what's so funny?
expectations?
I was having, I was playing golf with another realtor friend of mine.
Okay.
She plays golf like 5 days a week.
Is that a new thing too?
No, I wish I had.
Have
like
you always played?
No, I started during COVID.
Lately? Okay.
So
yeah,
I started
yeah.
golf
Okay,
during
okay.
COVID because
That's
that's
become popular for some
Man,
reason, it seems
if
like.
you see her swing, she's pretty good. I've been playing golf like all my life, and I can't swing.
Yeah,
like that.
wow.
So I heard that the big contracts are signed on the green.
Okay.
So I was
okay.
like, so I take everything,
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
advice
yeah,
people
yeah.
give me, I take it in, right? I'm like,
Right,
okay, I'm
right.
gonna learn golf, right? So they're giving free lessons over at Island, right? Because
Oh, wow.
during COVID, right? And then the guy's like, you sure you just started, right? And I'm
Really?
like, yeah, I never even hit, swung
Wow.
before. And then so that gave me the confidence of like, oh, I should pursue this, right?
Wow.
So then I didn't really take it seriously the first 2 years because I was so busy working.
Right.
And then last year I had a lot of time on my hands and I took it a little bit more seriously,
Okay.
playing maybe once a month. And then recently someone told me I sucked at golf, and that's a challenge for me, right? You tell me I suck at something,
Right.
I'm going to, I have tenacity. I'm going to go out there and make sure that I'm going to be better than the last time you saw me, right?
Right.
So I've been really improving my game.
Wow.
But what were we talking about before that?
This
year.
market, this year's market. Yeah,
this
yeah.
year.
How do you
Okay.
feel about
So I was having lunch. I was playing golf with
Yeah.
another realtor friend of mine, and we used to work at the same office. And I have a listing right now, and it's January. But if you look at my track record, every January for the last 4 years, I've always had a listing. Last year, I had a $2.7 million listing, right? This year, January. So I always start off good, but I have to not let, these negative thoughts come into my mind, right? And just stay focused, right? And then also putting out like positive affirmations, right? And just moving forward instead of like letting things deter me and saying I can't do it or I don't want to do it. It's like moving forward and scheduling something every Monday. Like if we're doing videos every Monday, we're doing videos every Monday, right? And having a schedule. Before I wasn't really committed to my schedule. I was more all over the place. But this year there's a schedule. I have a plan.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, and also my last 4 years, I've learned a lot about budgeting. Meaning, my first 2 years, I spent so much money on like stupid advertisements, marketing things. But now I know what works and doesn't work,
Yeah, that's
right?
good.
And now I know where to spend my marketing dollars at.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think for anyone that made it this far and still in the game and taking it as a full-time career, which a lot of people last year was like the exodus of the real estate
I
industry. The
know.
year before was the exodus of the lending industry. So anyone that's in it now, I think we're in a good position to just be ready to serve. Interest rates are probably going to come down. It's an election year. There's a lot of things happening, and real estate, if I really think about it, here's the positive for me. Real estate should have gone down when interest rates go up that fast. Like there's no reason, house prices shouldn't have dropped. So in a way it did drop, even though it didn't. This is the low, right? So now, assuming that rates are at the high. Now, if rates go higher, that's a different story. But when all the economists are predicting rates are going to go down, then the chances are home prices are probably going to go higher because more people can, qualify.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it's important that we stay out there. We educate our audience, our friends and family of what programs are out there. What are some of the things that are out there that, especially people who couldn't buy, people maybe with some credit challenges.
So I want to talk about that, right?
So transitioning into a lot of the products, I think that might be helpful because a lot of buyers right now, I think what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot of business owners, just entrepreneurs who want to buy a home, but the products weren't really available the last few years.
Yeah.
Now the market is changing because, see, the one good thing about higher interest rates, now you have private money that can actually enter into the market because the rates make sense. The return, for the investors makes sense.
Yeah.
So now we're, starting to see, we have an investor right now that we've been able to help clients,
But let's talk about that product, right? Let's talk about it because we just closed, right, on a $1.5 million house that our client
20% down. That's
they
all
needed
they
20% down, right? No income verification, no bank statement, no tax return, right? Like who out there has this product, right?
Not many
And
people.
there's a lot of people out there that have the capital to put down on a home, and it doesn't have to be a median price home. Like if you're looking into the $1, $2, $3 million, we can still help you, right? And like it could be anyone that gets approved for this loan. It could be an entrepreneur, business person, or you just have the capital. It's through a gift, right? And it's pretty easy. It's self-explanatory. You have the capital for a house and you're ready to buy. Let's call me. Let's get you into a house right now when the inventory is low, right? Because once there's more buyers on the market, once the interest rates come down, now it's going to be a bidding war, right? And do you want to go back to the 2020-22, right? Where like you have, 50 offers on a house, right? Right now, you're seeing offers, but it's not as competitive, right? So this is the perfect time.
Yeah. So, I mean, the scenario that she's talking about, 1.5 million, 20% down, that's $300,000. We can actually go higher, up to
we can go to about 3.75
million,
$3 million
right? So if you're looking to buy a house, I mean, look, what I've learned today is if you want to put in an offer on a house, you need someone like Sunny to represent you because
that has your back. I'm gonna have your back.
Because even in this market, she might be able to get you that $4 million home at 3.75, right? Because at 3.75, 20% down, I think we just did the number, 750,000 max loan amount, 3 million, right? 3 million. We don't really care. Our investors don't care about how much income you report, but can you afford it? As long as you're actually making money, right? To actually afford the payment, right? I mean, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No, we don't care. Yeah, we don't care. She said, cannabis, but I mean, that's a very popular business right now. There's a lot of cannabis business owners that don't know how to get funding for a home. Now, we do care that you don't turn that house into a cannabis business. This is for that cannabis business owner that wants to reside in the home. We're not talking about turning a residential home, using our money to get in and then turning it into a business. That's different, right? So owner occupied investment property to rent it out, but not necessarily for a business. So that's the only restriction, I would say. You can't turn it into a business. But
let's go back to the low inventory right now, right?
Yeah.
There's no inventory on the market right now. A lot of people are saying this is worse than the crash because there's not a lot of buyers and there's no inventory. There's not a lot of action going on. So right now we're in a very rough time.
Yeah.
Mortgage brokers, realtors,
All of us,
yeah,
everyone in the industry. Yeah.
Yeah. With our program, though, what makes it, unique is that there's so many other programs right now, like bank statement program or DSCR program for investment properties. Our program, regardless, like what Alex said, whether it's primary or investment, right, it's just 20% down.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's huge.
Yeah.
DSCR right now, for it to make sense, I mean, I've been doing these type of loans for 5-6 years now. DSCR, you need the rents to qualify. And typically for it to make sense, you're going to need at least 30 to 40% down just to get a decent rate to make it make sense for the investor. Right. So with our product, with 20%, we don't need any
You're golden.
rents.
There's
You don't need no rents to qualify,
another
right?
scenario people might not be thinking of. Let's say someone does pay their taxes and they do have provable income, right? But the max that they qualify for is 1.5 million.
Right.
However, they really want to live in Irvine.
Right.
You could buy a home in Irvine for, let's say 4 bedrooms.
Right.
3-4 years ago, but I don't think you can find.
Not now.
So now, even though you qualify for 1.5 million because you're paying taxes on it, but you need to, you come to Sunny's going to tell you how much you need to bid, right? So if you need to bid 2.5 million,
But it's
this
not,
is the difference.
But here's the thing I want to explain to the buyers too. It's not always the highest offer that even gets accepted, right?
But you have to know how much
But yeah,
the
so
market's at, right?
we need to know where the market's at, but sometimes these buyers agents, they have you come up like a ridiculous amount, right? And now you're doing a disservice to your buyers, okay?
Right. Over.
Yeah, like you're
Oh,
overpaying
yeah,
for a
yeah,
house. And
yeah,
I've seen that too often as well, right? And that's something I'll never do for my clients. I will never be that agent, number one. Number two, as a listing agent and as an agent that has represented buyers, my offer might not have been the highest offer.
Yeah.
But that agent might like working with me. They know that there's a trust factor there, right? So just because you throw in the highest offer doesn't mean it's going to get accepted because that highest offer could fall out of escrow because the
You also need
agent.
appraisal.
Well, the
value
thing
has to
is,
come in too,
the
right?
the agent's trying to BS and trying to get your
Offer.
the agent's trying to
so
BS.
it's overpriced.
Right.
Yeah.
So the agent's gonna BS and try to put in an offer,
Yeah.
right, and say, "Oh, we're gonna remove these contingency
But
except
not
for
the
one,"
the
right?
appraisal thing.
And then
Yeah,
they'll
yeah.
say, "Oh, well, the appraisal didn't come in, so
yeah.
you know, we're gonna
renegotiate.
fact-
Everyone
Right,
knows that
right,
game.
no,
right,
but
right,
it's like
right,
so
right.
stupid, right?
Right,
So
right.
working with me, right,
Right.
an agent knows
You're not
that
gonna BS
I'm
on
not
it,
gonna
yeah.
be
BS.
Playing
yeah, I'm
games.
not,
You're
I'm
not
not
gonna
playing
be
games with
games.
you.
You're
You
not
can't
playing
BS
games.
on
Right,
it.
I'm
right,
not
right.
playing games here. This is
Right.
like I said, I don't overpromise. I
Right,
do exactly
right.
as I say.
Right.
So this is what I'm showing you, right?
Right.
And you're not gonna fall out of escrow unless there's something wrong with the house, right?
Right.
But I have a friend, right? They purchased a home, and they paid $500,000 above ask.
Wow. They offered 500.
No,
or
they-
it's above ask. What
Above-
was? Did it come in at value though, or
I
did
don't
they,
know how. So I wasn't the agent on
Oh,
that.
okay,
so I was
okay.
So I wasn't the agent on that. So I can't tell you how the
I see, I see, I
transaction
see.
worked. I found out afterwards because I do know how much they paid for the house. They paid like $2.7 million for the house.
I see.
Okay. For a $2.7 million house, that's not a fixer, right? And you paid $500,000 above ask, right? That should have been a pretty decent home, right? Unless you're
Yeah,
an
yeah.
investor and you're trying to rehab and fix, right?
Right.
And I'm seeing their story, and I'm seeing their story because we follow each other. They didn't use me, right?
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, I have mold issue." Right? And I'm like, why the heck do you have mold issue, right? Didn't you do a home inspection? But I didn't say
Right,
anything.
right.
And then like a few minutes, last year was raining a lot. Needed a new roof.
Wow.
And I'm like, so you overpaid for a home that needed work,
Right,
Mold,
right?
yeah.
So I reached out to them. I'm like, didn't you do a home inspection? And they said, we did, but because there was no inspectors available, I just went with my agent's inspector, right?
Oh, just to sign it off.
And I'm like, That was like I didn't say this,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
like you never want to do that.
Right.
And I
right.
go, your agent didn't do you any justice and they did not
Wow.
serve you. You know why? Because
They just
during
want the
this,
commission.
well, here's the thing. During this time, 2021, 2022,
Yeah.
everybody was busy. Appraisals were
Right,
needing
right,
extensions,
right,
right?
right.
That's right,
Inspections
that's right,
were
yeah.
needing extensions because nobody was available
So you have
because
to read the
COVID.
market.
right because the
Yeah,
market was
yeah.
so high, people were
Right, right,
selling
right,
like
right.
you know, and I'll call my inspection company and say, oh, you know, we need to do an inspection. It's like 2 weeks out. So here's what you do, and this is not just a trick, right?
Right.
As a buyer's agent, we are shortening contingencies, right? So we'll do a 10-day home inspection,
Right.
a 10-day appraisal, right? Because we want to get our offer accepted, right?
Right.
Here's the thing. Appraisers are not available for 2 weeks out.
Right.
Inspectors are not, you know, available.
Yeah,
So what
yeah, yeah.
I would do as that agent is write an addendum, let the listing agent know, like, hey, we cannot find an inspector, right? So here's an addendum. We would like another 10 days, right? You think seller's gonna say no? You're already in escrow, number one,
Right.
$500,000 above asking, right? So this agent did a disservice to her client by making them move forward and hurrying up with inspection. So this inspector didn't even check the roof, didn't check the crawl space. There's mold, and it was an old roof. So when hiring an agent, you should be interviewing agents, right? Because this is the biggest purchase of your life, right? When you have surgery, right, and your doctor tells you, "Oh, you know what? This is what we're gonna do," right? Are you gonna get a second opinion? Why aren't you doing that when you're purchasing a home or selling a home, right? This is the biggest sell and purchase of your home. So get a second opinion, right? And it just hurt. I don't know, when I see this, I'm like, man, you know, I could have really helped you there, you know. And they were a friend of mine, so I was,
Wow.
I see. Well, now they know. I mean, yeah.
yeah.
So you know some other scenarios that I remember using this strategy. The people that want to buy, how many homeowners are out there right now that have equity, but they don't want to sell. But if they take that equity and cash out, they can go ahead and buy the upgrade, like moving up to a house that they really want, because maybe they're in a starter home, they've been in it for a while, now they gained a bunch of equity. Maybe instead of selling the home to come up with the down payment, they can just take out their 20%, cash out, and then use it as a purchase.
And they keep their primary as a
rental.
rental.
And then turn it into a rental.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure there's
yeah.
a lot of people out there that would
Because
like
we
to do
don't
that.
care about qualification, and then
Yeah.
the rental income
Yeah, it's-
should cover whatever their
mortgage,
cash out
yeah.
refinance is. Yeah, so taking out the 75%, that's another kind of thing that people aren't really thinking of. But we've
I have
been
a
seeing
client
it
right now, possibly.
like that. Then there's another scenario
Sorry.
where people will purchase with the hard money loan, like you mentioned earlier, and they're only in that loan for about a year. They can refinance out of that loan into a fixed loan, 30-year fix. Oh, by the way, I know we mentioned this before, but this isn't a 1-year loan or a 2-year temporary
right.
private loan. This is a 30-year
30-year fixed,
fixed,
yeah.
right? So, I mean, most likely you're not going to keep it for 30 years because it's going to, the rates are going to come down next year. But still,
Refinance it,
you have that security knowing, that it's good for 30
You know,
years.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I want to ask both of you guys a question, actually, because you guys have been doing this for much longer than I, you know. I still feel, yeah. So when I started, interest rates were low. It was at a historical low, right?
The lowest ever. Yeah.
So we're talking, interest rates 3.25,
Yeah,
3.5,
yeah.
right? And home prices, at the time, I thought it was ridiculously high,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
when we look back
Yeah.
on 4 years ago, we're like, shh,
Yeah.
why didn't I buy that, right?
Now it's easy to say.
Yeah, right. And the thing is, even during that time when you can buy a 3.2 for like 650,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Maybe even 550, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the area, right? You didn't see these above ask like crazy $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 above ask, right? While interest rates were at 3.5, right? You're only seeing like little increments, like $5,000 above ask, $10,000 above ask, or asking, right? What do you think changed during COVID that people were just submitting offers without like
No, I know what it is.
like
Yeah.
$100,000, $500,000 above ask. What do you think changed?
Everyone that was doing that most likely was a business owner, and most likely they got a free $500,000 from either PPP, ERC, or some of these government programs. A lot of business owners got a lot of free money, and then during that time, it was really easy to get a lot of free corporate loans, like capital, at a very low interest rate. So a lot of these people, they use that for purchasing real estate. I mean, you started seeing real estate agents coming out of the woodworks doing flipping. When did you see so many real estate agents doing the flip game, right? Before COVID.
I wish I took advantage of that.
All of that is kind of like, intertwined. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Sonny, that's a lot of great stories and great
I have
catching
a
up
lot.
with you. Yeah.
I have a lot
You're
of
going to have to share
stories.
some more on the next one.
I had a buyer I was working with, and this buyer was a psychopath, and I didn't know until after escrow, or when we got into escrow. I could have been killed.
What?
So I have a lot of stories like this.
Wow. That's an interesting one. We're going to have to hear that
where
one.
I'm like, you know what? I need to have like a gun on me, or like a taser or something, pepper spray. Never do showings at night. I have a lot of stories.
Wow.
I've done plenty of transactions. I've worked with enough people and you know what? Nothing surprises me these days, right?
I agree. So, Sonny, how would you describe, or what are the things that make you a great agent compared to other agents?
Well, I'm not going to say that not all agents aren't persistent, honest, and have integrity, right? If you're a great agent, you're going to have those 3 characteristics and more, right? But I'm single. I have no family. I'm not dating anyone. I'm not on any dating app. So my priority is my clients, right? My clients come first, right? When you have a family, you have family things that you need to attend to, right? Your kid gets sick. Now you have to be at home, right? Or soccer practice, piano lessons, picking up the kids from school. The other day I saw you. I'm like, hey, you want to hang out? You're like, I got to go. I got to pick up my kids. I'm like, Danny, what about you? You're like, oh, I got to go. I got to go pick up my kids, right? And I'm like,
It is true.
Right? And so I only have time for my clients. I don't want other realtors to think that like they're a bad agent because they have kids, right? But I have the time to commit to my clients. So my relationship is with my clients.
That's amazing. I mean, that is true, though, because at the end of the day, my clients are going to have to wait if I'm not available all the time. My kids and family are going to go first. And what is someone going to say? But deep inside for the client, during those 30, 60 days, when it's their biggest transaction, they're going to want to be the number one focus and attention.
So no matter how busy I am, my clients will never know. They think that they are priority. I give them all of my attention. My cadence and response is really good. Like if someone calls me right now or if someone texts me, I'm going to be responding within 5 minutes. And if I can't respond or answer their call, I'll let them know like, hey, I'm in a meeting right now. I see your text. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But when you have kids and they're sick, you're attending to them, right? And so you might not be able to see you're not stuck or you're not glued to your phone, right? I'm glued to my phone. Yeah, so
Availability.
I'm available. So my clients, they always tell me like, I love that you respond very quickly because when it's your biggest purchase or your biggest sell, you need answers right away, right?
Absolutely.
So a lot of agents can say, oh, I'm available around the clock. I'll always be available. You can call me anytime. I mean, how true is that compared to the reality of is that really possible?
So here's the thing. I work with a lot of agents because I am on the list side of things, right? And I see the communication between me and the other agent, right? And I need things done and the communication is not there, right? And so, when I'm submitting an offer, because I work with a lot of investors and I need to know like, hey, I see this home sitting on the market. Like, tell me a little bit more information about it. I never hear from them.
Wow.
And I'm like, you're doing a disservice to your client because they're trying to sell a property and you have not even responded to me, right? So now I have to call the broker. Oh, that's actually what happened on the Huntington Beach house that was listed for 505. The agent did not respond for 3 days. I called, I texted. So I now call the broker. I'm like, listen, my clients want to buy this house. Your agent has not responded to me. Can you please have them respond?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is how a lot of agents are. And so a lot of these sellers and buyers, they're working with agents. So another thing about my clients too, I would say, especially my buyers, they've already worked with other agents and they were not happy. And so then they were referred to me by an acquaintance, right? And there's a lot of agents out there that get the contract and then they just get ghosted. The clients get ghosted, right? The seller's like, they didn't do anything for me. They just listed the house, put crappy photos, and it didn't sell, right? So you don't want to be working with an agent like that, right?
I just gotta say one thing.
Yeah.
I always answer her calls.
Yeah. Is that true? Does he?
Do I answer all your calls?
She does.
This is
Oh,
a
okay,
good
see?
marriage.
Did you see how
This
she
is-
flipped it
so
on
you
me?
so
Like
you
that?
are married to us, right? Yeah.
When Sonny
yeah.
calls or texts, I'm
Yeah.
there. So.
Yeah, no, he does, and he's like, "I'm in church right now. I'm in this. I'm with the kids." And
Yeah. But I mean, a response is
Yeah,
better
yeah,
than
yeah,
no
yeah,
response.
yeah, no response. Yeah, but then that's a level of commitment that I expect from my mortgage brokers, my vendors, because that's what I'm doing for my clients. So I need answers right away.
Yeah,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
So that's what makes a strong team,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Well, we are very, very thankful and honored to be a part
Thank
of this
you.
team,
Yes,
this partnership,
yes.
and most importantly, is so that we can help the people out there that don't know they can be in a home right now. They don't know that they can take money out and invest in the property right
And
now.
build
because-
equity,
and build-
right?
Exactly,
Why are you
'cause-
paying somebody else's mortgage?
Exactly,
Right?
exactly. And the
Yeah.
equity is coming because we're printing so much money. Rates are going to go down. So, it's I don't know anyone in our community right now who's gone wrong buying a house in the last 10 years.
it's-
Right? I don't know anyone.
No.
It's just not possible.
Their capital gains right now,
Right,
right?
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
the equity
So-
they built in the last few years,
Right, right.
right? A lot.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Doing
Unless you
nothing.
overpay for a home. I know some of you have.
Yeah, but still, they still gained.
They
you
still
know?
did, yeah. They still did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, Sonny. Hope to see you on the next one, and we'll.
Not hope. I will be
Yes.
here.
All right, there we go.
Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you, Sonny.
Thank you,
Yes,
Danny.
You're welcome.
If you like this content and you want to hear more about my stories or how to find an agent or how to work with a better agent, like, follow, and subscribe.
All right. So thank you all for being a part of this American Dream Team podcast. For more content like this, real behind the scenes stories and real stories of how our agents and our partners and people in our industry, what we really think, what we really feel, and then how we have to show up for our clients, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, like and comment. Comment if you like the real deal.